Family values and consequences. Do you really have to steal your grandmother's money? Have you forgotten how much she loved you? She took care of you like her own, even though you were her own, her grandchild by birth. You were even more to her, her favorite. Meluch's father said, calm yet firm. Meluch looked down, suddenly sobered, as his father sat across in front of him, speaking calmly but firmly. Just tell me where you kept the money, and no one else has to hear about it, his father said, calm. I gave the money to Nautica, the guy who lives at Grandma's house. I asked him to keep it for me. Actually, I was saving it to buy a small radio and a pair of headphones so I could listen to music, Meluch replied quietly. Meluch's father nodded slowly, trying to stay calm. It's okay. I understand. Just take me to Nautica so we can recover the money. Your grandmother is in pain, and she really needs it. He paused, looking his son in the eyes. Don't forget that that money belongs to the church. She's the church treasurer, and they entrusted her with the money. Meluch, take me to Nautica. Meluch stayed silent, his head lowered. Tears were still falling from his eyes as the weight of what he had done settled deeper in his heart. They made their way to Nautica's house, his maternal home where Mr. Nautica lived. The air was thick with silence. The weight of the situation sat heavily on both of them. Just as they arrived at the gate, they saw Nautica stepping out, seemingly on his way somewhere. Meluch's father quickly called out, "How are you?" Meluch's dad asked. "I'm fine, sir," Nautica replied with a polite nod. "I'm sorry to bother you at this hour." Meluch's father continued gently, "We've come here for an important reason." He looked over at Meluch, then back at Nautica. "Do you know my son, Meluch?" "Yes, I do," Nautica responded without hesitation. "As a matter of fact, please come in." He stepped aside and welcomed them into the house. After offering them seats and they had settled, Nautica asked, "I hope all is well?" Meluch's father sighed deeply. "No, unfortunately," Meluch's father sighed deeply. "No, unfortunately, all is not well. My son told me he gave you some money to keep for him. Is that true?" Nautica glanced at Meluch, then back at the father. He knew this moment would eventually come. He had been expecting it. Without hesitation, he said, "Yes, sir. Your son gave me the money to hold for him." "Thank you," Meluch's father replied sincerely. "I appreciate your honesty. To be straightforward, that money actually belongs to his grandmother. She's the church treasurer, and the money was entrusted to her by the church. Please, we'd be grateful if you could return it." Without delay, Nautica stood up, went inside, and brought the money. He handed it over respectfully to Meluch's father, who received it with gratitude. "Thank you," the father said again, this time with relief in his voice. Meluch sat quietly, overwhelmed with guilt and shame. Tears welled up in his eyes as he reflected on what he had done. He wasn't just any boy. Meluch was deeply loved by everyone around him. His father adored him, his grandmother cherished him, and the entire community saw him as one of their own, a child for everyone. He looked straight ahead, but his words carried the weight of generations. "She didn't just raise you. She made you her favorite grandchild. She loved you with everything she had. And this could have broken her. Do you even realize the trauma you've caused her? Just knowing you, the one she trusted the most, could do something like this?" Meluch remained silent, his eyes filled with tears. His heart ached, not just with guilt, but with the pain of realization. Then, he slowly lowered his head and whispered, "Daddy, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I never wanted to hurt anyone, especially not Grandma. I'm ashamed. I'm sorry I put you through this. I promise, from this day forward, I'll do better. I'll be more than you've ever wished for. I'll make you proud." He wiped his eyes with the back of his sleeve, his voice trembling. "But please, you promised me. No one must hear about this. I couldn't bear the embarrassment. I don't want my friends to look at me like I'm a thief. It was a mistake, a terrible mistake, and I swear it will never happen again. I've always been a good kid, and I'll continue to be one. Just, please, forgive me." His father didn't say a word at first. He reached over, placed a firm hand on Meluch's shoulder, and gave a reassuring squeeze. That single gesture said everything: forgiveness, love, and a shared promise to move forward. In the quiet that followed, only the soft rustle of the wind and the echo of a hard lesson learned remained. Late that evening, Meluch returned home. The house was quiet, wrapped in a gentle calm that followed the storm of the day. His mother had prepared a simple meal, and although the mood was subdued, everyone gathered at the table with grateful hearts. As night fell and the stars blinked into the sky one by one, the household drifted to sleep. But Meluch remained restless. The guilt still gnawed at him. In the stillness of the night, he got up and walked quietly to his mother's room, where she sat watching over his grandmother, who had barely slept. Softly, without words, Meluch placed the money now recovered from Nautica on the small wooden table beside him. His mother turned, surprised. Their eyes met. His mother nodded slowly, her eyes welling up. No words were needed. She took his hand, and together they looked over at the sleeping figure of the old woman who had once held the entire family together. That night, Meluch made a silent vow. Never again would he break the trust of people who loved him the most. Meluch quietly left and returned to his room. Though he tried to stay calm, he was deeply troubled. Guilt weighed heavily on his heart, and sleep refused to come, no matter how hard he tried. A month had passed since the incident, and Meluch now faced a different kind of test, his first school leaving certificate examination. That morning, the house buzzed with quiet activity. Meluch dressed carefully, nerves dancing in his chest. Just as he was about to leave, his father called out to him, "My son, come sit here." Meluch obeyed and sat before his father. Unexpectedly, his father leaned forward, gently placed a hand on his shoulder, and spat lightly on the crown of his head. "Today," his father said solemnly, "I ask God to give you wisdom. You will write your exam with clarity, grace, and strength. You will not be afraid. You will remember all you've learned." Meluch felt a surge of courage rise in his heart. "Thank you, Daddy," he whispered, then dashed off to the exam center. In the exam hall, he took a deep break. The questions came, and by divine favor, most of them were topics he knew about. Well, his heart swelled with relief. Just before he could lift up his eyes, behold his father's friend right in front of him, and he is a teacher. Immediately, Meluch felt his father's friend would or might offer a glance of support or guidance. But the man looked away, pretending not to see him. Meluch blinked, wounded but undeterred. He finished his paper, stood, and submitted it to the invigilator. As he walked away, the same man finally noticed him and offered a cheerful greeting. Meluch returned the smile politely, though inside he carried a quiet heart. "I didn't need your help," he thought. "I did it with God's help and my father's wisdom." He stepped out into the sunlight, head held high, proud, not just for writing the exam, but for doing it with honesty, courage, and grace. Meluch hadn't finished his exams while he walked home alongside two of his friends. Their voices were loud with frustration, their faces heavy with worries. "That math paper was wicked," one of them muttered. "Tell me about it," the other chimed in. "I didn't even finish question 3, 4, and 7. But Meluch remained silent. He walked quietly, a calm smile resting on his lips. His hands were tucked into his pockets, and his steps were steady, measured. Deep inside, he was rejoicing. The exam was good for him. Most of the questions had come straight from the topics he knew best. But he didn't want to boast. He didn't want to dampen their spirits or draw attention to himself. So he kept his joy hidden, tucked deep inside like a treasure only him could hold. The next morning, just as the early sun filtered through the curtains, his grandmother called out to him. "Meluch," she said, her voice